So that's not even plan for that.
Hey, sorry for the delay, but it is 11:10 and I call the regular meeting of the Highway 281 Task Force of the City of Blanco to order. So we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
The United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and thank you all for joining us today. We're gonna keep this meeting short and sweet like usual. And the first item of business is new business consideration discussion on Highway 281 Task Force subcommittees. Before we get started with that, I printed out an updated list of the subcommittee chair info. And so just to review it, we have the safety committee, which is going to be Chief Rubin, who could not be here today. We've got the economic, which is Libby Alley, historic, Joe Malhouse, environmental, Kenneth Welsh, engineering / operational is our city engineer, Byron Sanford, and the PIO / media is myself. So I just wanted to, I think the last time we talked about this, I had some question marks on if people are going to chair the committees. And so I just wanted to make sure that we had an updated list. And I also wanted to, I'm sure everybody's already heard that I'm not running for mayor again, and our resolution states that the task force is going to be chaired by the mayor. So I will be stepping down as chair in May, but I'm obviously open to remain active in the committee if the future mayor wants me to.
Will you also be the chair of this committee?
I won't.
No.
Oh, well, if they want me to, I will. So it's going to be up to whoever wins. You know, I'm going to do whatever they want me to do. So that being said, I wanted to just give some time to the chairs to give us updates. We don't have any from safety since Chief Rubin is out of town. Do we have any for economic development?
I mean, honestly, no.
Okay.
No, because just talking to business owners, it seems like until we have a better picture of what and when is happening.
And I think that kind of is for the safety, economic, and the engineering, all of those committees, we kind of are on standby at this point.
Yeah, I mean, so to do, I don't know what we would be doing, but to do a bunch of things that then we would have to undo or reconsider seems, you know, honestly, I'm not quite sure what we should be doing at this point. I would just keeping the conversation open with the people that we know have businesses that want to run ahead of this. So, sure. I'd like to know more about this relief route study. Honestly, that seems to be the biggest thing that's concerning folks. Like, is it happening? Where it's going to go? Because that's going to affect business.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I can jump in now, or we can talk about it when we get to.
Yeah, why don't we just like, I mean, like every meeting that we have for this committee or task force, I like to have it open and have conversation. So let's jump right in because we had a meeting on Friday with TechSot, a few of us. And so Mr. Welsh was kind enough to give us a notes and kind of summarize everything I talked about.
I got more notes, absolutely, because I did it to everybody yesterday. The long and the short of that, we talked about the environment. They brought a lot of people and they talked about process a lot. And some of the more revealing things is they're going to look at up to 5 routes within a 5-mile radius of Blanco for the relief route. Okay. And they're looking to us ultimately to make the decision on which route it's going to be. Well, obviously, you said we can't do a whole lot until we know what the 5 are. However, they also kind of laid out a timeline, and they are in we talked about both the relief route and the 281 route. If this indicates the 281 route, they're moving into the NEPA environmental evaluation, which is much more rigorous and very site specific, where in the relief route, they're in a more with just an environmental assessment, which is rather loose. They're going to identify these 5 routes. They're going to look at us to give them input on what we would like for it to be. So in response to what your question is, I've got an item here on the back side. I think about we need to decide how we're going to make a decision, because quite frankly, no matter where the route is, we need to know what the community's goal is for economic development. If we want cars running right through here, is that good for us? Is that bad for us? If it's a relief route, we want to have a lot of access points. They view the relief route as just that, a relief route, not a route that's going to have lots of exits and entrances going to every subdivision in town. So we need to understand amongst ourselves, what is it we want? Do we want just a line around town? Or do we want to get off at every road crossing? I don't know. Because that's going to drive economic development. If you have an exit, you're going to have a filling station, and so forth and so on. And do you want to develop it out there by that highway, or do you want to develop it here and have use in the truck? That's going to determine that. They look at it as very simple. It's a matter of where it goes, how long it's going to be, who's going to pay for it. If they're the ones to pay for it, we better start really thinking hard about where that funding is going to come from. So
when you have exits, Kim, though, doesn't that increase the amount of land that you need?
Sure.
Increase that.
Absolutely.
And increase the amount of money that you need.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, I have my opinion on what it should look like.
right.
I think it should be a relief. I don't think it should have any access. Yeah. I mean, just get off one end, get off of the other.
That's exactly how I feel.
That's how I feel about it. But there are people who, if it goes around the east side, would love to have an exit at 160. Well, I say come down and go around 163, it's like you do now, if you want to go to Wimberley.
Right.
And you have a sign out there that says Wimberley, Lukenbach, this way, and Blanco. You have another one that says Kansas City or whatever.
Right.
So you're saying basically have a flyover over 165.
Yes.
To get to 165, you go all the way up to almost 32,
No,
turn
no,
back around, go back down 163.
I would just like to do right now to get to 165. That would be the exit to 165. That's my view of it. But when you think about what they
I
say,
really like that.
when they say that they're going to go up as far as 5 miles radius, some of their routes may start south of Rocking J. Well, that changes. You're not going to drive through Rocking J subdivision, so that means go around the east side of Rocking J, which takes you way east. Where if you come this side to break out, it just depends on the 5 routes.
I do feel like wherever this route starts, it needs to be close enough to the town for people to get off and feel like they're coming into Blanco. Because if you go down by Rock and J, the economic side is going to
You're away
be
from, you're away from.
Now, if we're at 32, I think the economic side, as long as we consistently are working with the businesses to develop draws to bring people to our town, then the town will be fine. That's too far away to be a problem.
We asked them what we could do right now, what information we get right now. They didn't offer a whole lot. And so I said, okay, should we be marking off red zones that we absolutely do not want you to go into? Well, if you want to, that would be good. I think we should take a map of Blanco County and put red zones on. And if Rocking J subdivision is a red zone, put a big red dot there, put one at where the Rush Ranches or what.
Citrus Mountains needs to have a red zone, because right now they're looking at that.
But we put these red dots, and that already is going to define the routes. If you avoid the red dots, it doesn't leave a lot of places to go. But we need, how do we determine the red dots? I got my view, Joan's got her, everybody's got their own view. Somebody will say everything east of town should be a red dot, put west. And therein lies the problem. Right. How are we going to make a decision? How are we going to get input from the community?
Well, people need to know too, that this immediate route is connecting to 290. That's their immediate goal, is to connect to 290. That is the immediate goal right away. That is their first step.
I like
When they
the
go on to,
306.
and they go on to Oklahoma, on up to Canada, et cetera. That is their goal though, is to go to 290 first. That is, I mean, they flat told me that.
So I did, want to go back to the 5 routes, just to clarify, there's actually going to be 4 routes. One is including the actual 281.
Okay.
Okay.
But during the meeting, they were open. If we have more routes,
Yes.
then we could have, 6, 7 different options.
But
So
they're
they're
not
not-
gonna, but we need to tell them that early, because they're not gonna engineer 7 different routes. They do a preliminary.
And we did, discuss that the chamber had, an event last year, or, I don't know, was it just last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the citizens were able to map, and so they said that, I was gonna get with y'all to get those and send them over. They won't necessarily use those, but at least, the communication is there so they understand where the citizens, and that was one of the big things that I got out of our meeting on Friday was communication.
Yes.
See-
And in writing.
Yes, and involvement with the citizens, like,
And
they want involvement, so I think that we're at a great stepping stone right now, because we do have some maps already, and I think it'd be great if we do a county map with the red zones like we're talking about, to
Agreed.
give them as much input now, instead of waiting until they come to us later
Right.
in the summer. And
Be proactive.
yes,
if we wait, they're gonna say, we reached out, didn't hear you.
Yeah.
And they're moving on. It doesn't matter.
That's right, they're gonna do whether we like it or
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
They did say in line of communications, they said they're gonna hold 5 more meetings. I think they said this year.
June is when they're looking at one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like the one I did last
Yeah.
year.
I don't know
Yes.
if they're all gonna be that big, or they didn't define. got my
Pretty
attention.
much, I think it's gotta be a public meeting for what they
So
told
we're
me.
gonna keep it, I mean, so we're gonna have opportunities, and we need to prepare for each one of those meetings.
We need to have our.
What's the
back together.
message we want at each meeting, and that may evolve as we go through.
So I'm assuming distance is cost, and so they're gonna wanna do this as inexpensive, or whoever's paying for it's gonna wanna do it as inexpensive as possible, so wouldn't it look to be the shortest route possible?
Well, they're gonna look at the length of the route, they're gonna look at the historical stuff, they're gonna look at the environmental stuff, they're gonna look at whatever we provide to them that we think is important. They're gonna look at number of exits and passes
And bridges.
cost.
Bridges is
But
a big deal.
But length absolutely is, I mean, they don't care as much as we do. They have fun, they'll build on the route, and they'll get their money to build either construction from wherever they get it, in their state funds. But whoever's gonna have to acquire that land, the length is huge issue.
I guess in my mind, I don't see any other direction that's makes as much sense as basically 32 to just south of the landing. Now granted, I'd love for it to go behind the landing, but the distance of that just seems
That's my
so
opinion. That's my opinion, but even there, between there is 2 or 3 different. populations.
absolutely.
And they got some problems at Twin Sisters.
Sure.
Big problem, historically.
But now we talked in this meeting, we talked about the 281 widening and the Greeley Drive. And again, the 281 widening is in the NEPA phase. It's just started, but it's in the NEPA phase. That stands for National Environmental Protection Act. And under the NEPA, they have a formal environmental assessment process. This is in your little notes there. And they look at each specific thing, issue as an individual thing. So if there's a Twin Sisters dance hall, that's a singular issue to them. And they will grade that issue as to whether it's not a big deal or it's a huge deal or something in between, or what action that requires.
But Twin Sisters now is becoming more of a historical
Sure.
community.
Right. And
And that's an issue.
that's what I was gonna say. They look at it individually.
Yeah.
It's up to us to point out, and this is where we need
Yeah.
narrative.
Yeah.
You have a rock wall on your property.
Our
It's not
sisters,
just a rock wall, it's a rock wall that so the German came here 200 years ago and built it with his hand and had a family grow up there. And it has to have a narrative that makes it historical. And then you connect,
where's the stagecoach route?
Yeah, you
Let's connect the
connect that.
stagecoach route.
you connect that one stagecoach route that's inside that wall to the next stagecoach route that's 10 miles down. And the trail between them.
That's
It's
right.
not just.
And 32 is gonna cause a problem with that because that is a stagecoach trail, and so the places are still there on 32. They go straight to Fisher.
But my point is, they will look at it
Yeah.
as singular issues. It's up to us to tie them together to make them bigger than a singular point. Because they can erase one point real easy. They could go around the dance hall, but then they run into the cemetery or, or this or that. So it's up to us to connect the dots and make them bigger than a
Right.
singular
Well,
issue.
one of these singular issues that we're talking about is the connection between inside the city limits between 281 and 14th Street. They're going to come in there. They're going to widen that. They're going to do all this stuff, and nobody's talking about that. They're going to condemn property. They're going to be doing all sorts of things. But and look on the website. That's a different thing. That's singular issues. Don't talk about it at all. I haven't seen a thing.
Well,
Now, people on the other side of the city limits, they receive notices in the mail about their land, about permission to come on, stuff like that, look around, do these assessments. But from city limits to 14th Street,
Nothing.
same way on the south side, from Blanco to 163 cutoff.
they told us, I understood them right, Rachel, that basically they're kind of both in, and it's already 4 lanes through Blanco. They're just planning on dumping the traffic in here on the existing road. Now,
Yeah,
you're
but
not gonna need some
some
changes.
4 lanes that already exist in Blanco.
Oh, yeah, whereas 2,
But from here to the city limit, it's the 14th Street up, start from 4 lanes, up to the city limits. They're gonna be coming in there. And
So, I mean-
it's gonna be 450, it's gonna be a double wide,
I think
lanes,
it's-
just like everywhere else.
I think it is, well, I'm very confident the community doesn't want to pour into downtown Blanco. So if we can get our stick together on how we present our case, it's gotta be one of these other routes.
Well, yeah,
But we also talked about what are you gonna leave behind? What are we gonna do with 281 through town? And they said, well, we're not sure. And I said, well, I don't think the city's gonna have enough money to do what we would like done left behind in Blanco. And they said, well, Fredericksburg wanted it back there so they could do what they wanted to do. So that's still all also.
and that Main Street is one of these routes they're talking about, it's one of the 5.
Yeah.
But still,
So-
as it stands right now,
Yeah.
they're gonna be doing something with the city limits and 14th and Blanco Avenue and city limits south too. But, we haven't received any notices about, letting people on our land and she's right on. too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's, they haven't checked with us. on
And I
that
have a
part.
well and a lot of rock work and stuff.
James online has something to say.
Yes. What are the results of that little traffic sensor that they put in town that measured the speeds of vehicles, the amount of traffic? Do we have the results of that?
Warren, do we?
Oh, we're talking about
The new speed.
the police trailer.
Yes.
I don't have the info right now.
We can get the
Oh, yeah.
info. The chief is out of town right now, but I will follow up with him to get that information.
Where have they been hiding that thing?
Thank you. Oh, 281.
It's been moving it around.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I went back in right before my house. It's like I can hear myself think in my house. And
It'll slow down the speed.
yeah, I wouldn't wake it up in my house.
There's another thing off topic again, we talked about doing a study for a signal down on 13th Street, traffic light. Has there been anything about that? So the study takes about 3 years to do that. So
Don't
wonder
think
if they
so.
really got on.
Traffic light at 13th Street.
Cause we had the elementary school and all the traffic and everything. And it slowed people down a little bit, maybe. I doubt it, but maybe.
There's actually, so I'm a member of the Texas Downtown Association, and one of the members has reached out to, mass email was sent out finding out what other cities do for slowing down traffic. So I immediately responded, please keep me on this list, give me all the information as possible. So they're gathering it now and then I'll have that. So we have other options that might be helpful for us.
Good.
Do you want to jump into the store?
Yeah, so I met with TxDOT, Linda Henderson and Mariella Russo. She is the director at, Blanton and Associates. She's for the environmental kind of stuff, cultural and stuff. And so they made me at Twin Sisters Hall. There were several landowners that came and at the hall. Well, she went to like the Brimmer, Arlen Brimmer's property, which comes almost to Blanco, to be honest, on the other side. And it comes on the other side. You see those big fields? That's still all the Brimmer property all the way through Twin Sisters. You're talking massive. And then it goes to Jonas's. They met with the Jonas family right after that. With Jonas, there's a little bitty little liquor store. It was just sitting right there, a package store. It was sitting right there on the highway. When you go out, it's on the right, just a few miles.
I know.
Okay, right back behind there is their Jonas place, and they said it is still totally intact of the rock fences for corrals. I mean, totally 100% intact. And so they did a whole tour of that and documented all that historically. They're trying to get to the stagecoach stop, which is further down yet this way, but that's owned by the Holt Ranch, and they're not responding to anything right now. They said, no matter what, which that does not surprise me. And Judge Bray, jump into this if you're on there and add to this if you know how to get in touch with them, then we'll talk to them. With that being said, so we talked about, they documented all at the hall, they took them around, and they said Twin Sisters is unique because you got 473, you got the school, the cemetery, it's right on the river. There was Indian mountains there. There was, there's old rock houses there, old rock barn, the river rock barn. The families still own the whole area, all the way almost to, halfway to Blanco. And so you're looking all the way to Twin Sisters Mountains on the other side. That is a whole lot of land, and that is all like rock barns, rock fences, all the way through all of that. And so it was a big deal. And so they were trying to document that. And they said, this area right here, halfway to Blanco, is more than they thought. I mean, that's a lot coming through. And they said, so it has caused a lot more hesitation because, and one of the landowners of the Brimmer family said, well, what about the cemetery? Because right now the Lutheran cemetery is straight across from the hall. And they said, well, let me see the houses. And they went over there to see the houses and all that and started going back toward there. And they said, well, we could cut through their property right between the mountains and their houses and leave that as a media. And that just about, they just started crying. It was sad. And so anyway, we have some big, huge trees at the hall. And I said, there's just one tree because it's got a historical story to it. And I was telling them. And they said, well, Linda Henderson works with TxDOT. And she said, which I called her a traitor because she's worked with its historical missions. At the end of the meeting, I said, you're a traitor. Anyway, she said, well, you don't normally count trees. So in the meantime, Kenneth, about 5 other people called me or texted me and said, hey, there's a guy in Blanco you really need to meet. His name is Brian Smith, and he's written a book on Indian marker trees. And he lives in Blanco's got land on 281. And he was raised in South Texas on 281. And he said, I'm trying to document it. He said that Blanco on 281 is actually a buffalo trail. And when I look at it, it's in the Llano area and up that way. So it could very well be. I just have not pinpointed, all of the resources to that yet. And so he came down and he identified 4 trees that fall in the Indian marker category. Several of them point right straight to the Little Blanco River for water source. One points straight to Twin Sisters Mountains. And the other one is like a crossing. It's perfect X tree. It's 2 trees. It's interesting. Like, don't cross it. That means, so that it's the Tonko tribes and the Comanche tribes that did these trees in this area first. And so anyway, he's actually met with some of the Indian tribes a little bit, and he started to get more in depth with that. So I met with him on that and talking about where the acorns first came in Blanco County, and they actually came from Rockport, Texas, and the Indians used them for trading tools here. And for food and stuff like that. So anyway, so we documented those trees. He gave me some more books to look into and to try to contact Texas Historical Commission on some of this as well. So I got that. So with our meeting, it was some good and bad, because the good was, wow, there's a lot more to this than we had anticipated when we first came through here from Blanco. There's a lot more historical. That makes our job a little bit harder all the way around. I said, well, what about starting at 306 going around? And they said, well, we could. They said that there's no route. I said, yeah, there is. I said, you haven't looked at, have you? She goes, no. And so I said, because what are you going to do? Take all these rock buildings down? And like the Brimmers, their cows in two places go under 281 to get water, to eat, and they have to go back over to their water. There's no water on one side. And so they depend on that for their livestock.
And that gets into whatever they do, places like that. That's gotta be part of the design.
Exactly.
The
And,
those-
and they're looking at the money, all of a sudden TxDOT's going, wait a minute, this is costing them even more than we had thought, on that. And they'll have to buy the relief route if they can't go through this historical property. That's not our deal. For that. Like if they have to go, and they say, oh, we were going to the Brimmers, and they make a deal with them, they have to pay them. We do not.
So Taylor's gonna be.
Right. And they can't go to the hall, and the school is kind of right behind us, so they're stuck all through there.
Yeah.
They really are stuck almost halfway to Blanco in a lot of
What are they
areas.
gonna do? Just go over the top of it?
And we talked about noise, because I said, was friendly to a point. Y'all have not got to smooth. It is out now. It shows all of Blanco. And it shows Twin Sisters, and it shows actually the most beautiful scenery in Blanco County on 281 in the city.
This building's in that region.
It is in so is the courthouse. So is post office. So is library. So is church. So is school. But bottom line is that puts us down there in a cultural bracket. It puts Blanco in a cultural bracket as well, not just historical. And what I just don't see Blanco doing with the courthouse and these buildings is, why aren't they making more noise about the damage it's doing now for the noise, the vibration? Because I brought that loud and clear, and she said, Linda Henderson walked in and said, oh, it really, you can really hear 281. Nothing was open. And she says, can we turn the air conditioner on? I went,
Yeah, sister.
yeah. And I said, we have no air conditioning. I said,
Did you
look,
ask her if she would buy it?
and I said,
Hopefully not if you buy it.
really? I said, that's not, if you get any closer, I said, the noise will be louder and we can't film here. And so that was brought out a lot, stuff like that. And she was like oblivious to, it was not important to her. She said, well, it's gonna be kind of hard to judge the noise damage. And I said, no, I said, I requested that you have to do it, if this way do it.
Never interviewed myself with your noise.
Yeah, exactly.
We brought it up in the environmental meeting, where they're gonna do baseline studies of the noise, the way it is now, and then project what the traffic increase will be in the future. And they acknowledge that they can do that, but we need to ask specifically for noise studies going down 281 through town, and we need to ask for noise studies of Twin Sisters and anywhere else on the route
Yes,
where we think there may be something in it.
and the vibration damage
Yes, yes, and that would be part of it.
specifically,
Yes.
because I did that and writing to them already, and also asked for cultural identification, meaning springs, water sources, that sort of stuff, and also Native American. Because again, now with the street coming into place, I was just thinking arrowheads, burial grounds, that sort of stuff. And I'm learning more and more about, I don't know that much about the Indian culture, just what I grew up knowing. But like they said that, here the Indian burial grounds were rocks on top of them. They were not on stands or rock or anything. It was mainly, probably rocks. And those are actually burial grounds here.
Janelle, do you know if there's anything in the historical, like after you get a historical marker on a building, on a space, whatever, what the guidelines are for protecting that historical?
I've got to call in
I'm not
just,
saying that right, but you know,
no, no, no,
because
I know.
that's not a historical marker, like what is the,
For protection. is-
what levels of protection does the historical commission then put in the guidelines of this has?
Yeah.
You cannot do these things around this building because it will damage it.
Right, and I've got to call in Justin to meet with him. I'm trying to get somebody down here from Texas Historical Commission to meet with us.
That'd be great.
To just sit down and talk with us, look at things and say, this is what I suggest you do, guide us, so to speak. So I've got to call into him. I called him this morning and I called another part of it to him, says I need somebody down here. What does it take? What do we have to pay for the trip down here at this point? I don't care because it'd be worth it for the day,
Right.
you know. The other thing is, I said, you know, TxDOT has a lot of power. And I said, we watch the traffic fly by from the door. And I said, why can you not reduce speed limit? Why can't you just make it wider with what you've got? Until you can figure this out. Because they said they aren't even looking at the relief routes right now. Right now, they're just concerned about getting it to blanket around. That's all their big concern is. I mean, they were honest. And I said, then why can't you just widen what you got and not, and just leave this historical stuff alone? Because they're doing a survey down there now of what their boundaries are. And so, Kenneth,
Can I don't know if you've thought of this or are knowledgeable about this at all, but I won't name this correctly, but there is a program for, I'm gonna call it historical parkways. You get a designation and I don't know if it qualify, but if you put all these things together, Twin Sisters and Stagecoach routes and this and
I'm
this.
trying to think of the name of it.
Yeah.
Some communities and towns are actually there already in Texas. And I will come up with a name in a minute.
But
Yes.
if we could tie these stories and these things together.
Exactly, and that's what-
Tie to economic development, because we are a tourist
Correct. And that's what I,
destination.
Yeah.
These things, if properly developed, if the stagecoach stops or develop, those are tourist sites.
Right.
Twin Sisters is a tourist site.
Yeah.
The old ranches can be tourist sites, and if you have a parkway, it may change the design of the highway. It may also help us with economic development. It's just a wild thought, but I think that program is out there, it exists. What it takes to qualify, I have no idea.
And I know, TxDOT has a program, it's a scenic.
Texas highways.
Yeah,
And maybe
and
that-
so I did reach out and our part does not fit right now, but they're looking into maybe expanding the program to have more roads. So I did mention that, since the city recently got the scenic city, I thought, hey, we're a scenic city, we should have a scenic highway.
Yeah.
So that unfortunately, that route right now does not look like it's equal, but hopefully in the future, because I mean, especially like right now, springtime with all the wildflowers, like people are coming up 281 just to see the flowers.
Yeah.
So I think in the future, hopefully we will be able to,
Are we not qualified because of the definition of the program is?
yeah, it's very specific.
It's
and
legislative language.
I think,
I think there has to be certain historical markers along the way,
I mean-
stories or something like that along the way. Not, maybe even, and Judge Bay, maybe you know something countywide, but I don't, but, it's something about, they have to be able to go down to 81 and read about things. You know, they have to be able to know what happened there or whatever. And maybe not go to that site, but they have to know that there was some history along the way.
Like that
yeah, there's
section on the
only like
back on-
a couple
Yeah,
highways in the Texas right now that have it. So
Yeah.
it's very, very
specific on that, yeah. And so, you know, if this was tied in for the Buffalo Highway, if it was tied in for stagecoach routes, it was tied in all that stuff together, like it says, well, it doesn't mean we can't still be blanco and do the things we need to do. It does, and TxDOT made that real clear to the landowners. Doing all of this, because Mary Ella Russo is very much for protecting the historical stuff, and she said it doesn't mean the landowners can't continue to farm ranch, build a house on it. It just means
There should be a highway.
you can't have to hire and rent rights to the property of land without them taking consideration of what it's going to do. It's a stopping. It's like a stop sign for them. Right now, if you don't have any of this documented, there's no stop signs.
So
I mean,
what
lay terms what it's like.
what are the historical markers in downtown Blanco proper that would need protection from vibrations, that would need protection just because they're historic? What are the ones downtown besides the courthouse? Are there others that are designated historic in downtown Blanco that needs our attention, that needs our protection? Or maybe we can invent a few of them and come up with a few new historical markers downtown because we've discovered the history behind them. But just downtown, just that route between the city limits, what needs to be protected if they're historical? I only know of the courthouse. You guys know of others. Let me know what they are, please.
I think you have a.
The Uptown Blanco, the admin office, all those buildings along Uptown Blanco could be. I mean, they're all, yeah, all those, Linden's Grocery, all of that stuff. West End,
Where?
historical marker now, are they not? Anyway, and then the Methodist Church, they have one.
But could be,
It could be, like, there's a lot more.
could be, mean,
Do we have
there's work to be
a
done.
list?
Well, the city historical commission should have a lot of that.
Rainbow Gallery is that one, don't they have?
No, it's been modified some.
But it could be, it's not gonna get you value with DOT, but
Right.
that means we should apply ASAP.
But it also means with DOT, it means they have to, if you identify it and give it to them even in writing, they have to look at it with the history behind it. They have to do that once you bring it to them. Correct. Because and that's for ranches, that's for if there was something important happened there, that would be important for part of your land as well. It doesn't mean you have to have a historical marker and you can't modify your building. It just means this was important here. You can't just plow through it.
So do you
What
have?
about in downtown Blanco,
Not-
besides the courthouse? What are the historical buildings that would get TxDOT, the state of Texas, everyone to notice them so that we can get some added funds, so that we can get them to respect them, so we can get more information about that traffic going through downtown Blanco, which is going to result if the bypass relief, one of those terms, I forget which one we're supposed to be using, doesn't come through. And we have this traffic going into town for all the reasons you have mentioned. What are the places that need to be protected from increased traffic, increased vibration, etc., in between Blanco city limits?
So I will get with the historic commission here and I'll get with Ryan Moses, who's the chair, and see if they can get me the list that is current, because I know they have been working on it.
Wendy's been working on that too.
Yeah, and I'll get with Wendy as well to get an accurate list of the current historic designations, and then maybe a list that they're working on getting designated. And then maybe I'll get with Jonelle and try to do the same with the county.
Yeah.
So, because I think you're working on
I'm working on that too, yes.
So we'll compile a list of all these things and provide that to TxDOT as well.
Okay, is it a possibility between now and this project that the state of Texas is going to complete increasing the number of historical buildings in downtown Blanco, getting new historical designations, moving those things into place so that the city is protected more and perhaps get more funds, more respect, whatever? I'm talking about the city limits in between the two signs. Can we come up with new historical buildings, for example? Is that a possibility?
So I know that they are working on a few designations around town. I don't know what the time frame is of that, but
I think once you submit some paperwork, you're kind of in a loop, you
Yeah.
know, you may not get, but once you submit paperwork, it's kind of started the process.
Well, I know at the last historical meeting, they were talking about surveying
And inventory.
and inventory because a lot of places
I know,
have now
50 years.
that 50 years.
Yeah.
So they were trying to figure out how to get the survey to everyone or how to get volunteers to go door to door, et cetera.
yeah, and we're excited that we have a lot of interest now in the historic committee. So we're gonna hopefully have a lot of great volunteers helping out with that project. Pretty soon.
I wonder if we could get the preliminary list for the June meeting.
I think Wendy's got to put a start on it.
I think it'll be in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, she's got almost a brochure ready to go, pretty quick to it, of the driving and walking tour. At least it would affect 281 immediately right here. So she's got to start on all of that.
It just seems to me, they've said they're gonna have these 5 meetings that are to receive information and provide information. And we asked them for a timeline for this project, and it was real vague.
It's very vague.
But if we take them to their 5 meetings and we make those milestones for ourselves, when they come in June, we should give them something or ask for something.
I agree.
We shouldn't just show up and say, well, what are you gonna tell us? We need to tell them something.
I think that, I mean, my goal is to, as soon as we have the information, send it to them, because I think just constant.
The more
flow of
pictures they get,
communication-
like Brandon, I sent them some of your pictures on that side that you sent me. I sent that. I've sent them along things along the way for Twin Sisters and Twin Sisters area. And then when this helps visualize, I'm also, when I do this, I CC like Chip Roy's office and Congressman Campbell. And I CC all of them as well when I do this.
Yeah, I mean, I really think the more pictures and documents that we provide to them,
Visual is very important for them
it's gonna be better.
because the engineers see nothing. I mean, I'm being honest, and they even said that. Linda Henderson, who I worked with, texted us, she advises, she said, I can advise the engineers, but I can't make them change it. I can advise them. And so that's a whole different breed for doing for text dot.
Saying that falls down from the ceiling.
Sure.
And my house.
Yeah, and but people have been hesitant about giving us pictures and stuff because they don't want their privacy. And I understand that as a landowner. I get it. I totally get that. But they've made it real clear, and Texas Historical Commission is real clear, is if you don't do this, they have the right to come do it.
Maybe we do some sort of a community town hall that's kind of a informational explanation of why it's more beneficial to send them stuff.
I think it would be great.
Because I think my initial reaction, and I sit in on these meetings, was to
It's
say, I don't
scary.
want you to come on property.
It's scary.
But the fact is, the more you show them, the more likely you are to be protected than the other side of it. So I don't think they can see that.
No, they don't. And it's because it is scary.
To tell them that.
You know, it's a government agency. It's a, you know, we don't want that. And people are private, which I have land, so I get that feeling. I mean, I'm 100% behind that, but I also know what's happening.
So that kind of, we're gonna go to item 2. We can skip around, but the town hall, we did talk about having a town hall last month, and it obviously did not happen. So I think that would be a good starting point if we do have one in April or May for
I think
the
April.
June. I think April would be best. Just to have a time to explain, kind of give them a little update, which we really don't have that much, but we do have some more than we did at our last town hall. So talk about like updates and the different routes, and then talk about the property and the letters that were received, and getting the photography of all the different historic markers and stuff on the property. So,
And we need to tell the public what we need from the public,
yes,
what information
Just-
we need.
kind of a
I need stories. I need the history. I need
history.
I need all of that. We need all of that. They got documentation to back it. That's even better. But all of that's crucial. Countywide and Langley-wide, it's crucial that we do that.
So we can make it a focus on the historic aspect. I think for the first one would be, I mean, we'll start with the.
I think it intertwines with the environment. I think it all kind of works together, to be honest.
So, April, instead of having this meeting, we'll have a town hall and its
I think
place.
that's good.
So don't know what dates would be best, if it would be better to have it on a weekend or a weekday.
No, not a weekend.
Okay,
Weekends,
so maybe a,
families are with their kids with sports and everything else, so.
An evening during the
so
that evening.
would a Thursday evening work? Since we meet usually on Thursdays.
13th or 20th.
The 20th, I have major meeting, but, The 13th, maybe? We tentative, what does everybody think about 13th?
13th?
That's 3 weeks from now. Right?
And at like 6 or 5,
13th work.
5 or
Let's
6.
do 6, because people don't get off work right away, so.
What time are you thinking?
Did you say 6 p.m.? Yeah, because people don't get off.
I would say too, we could put it at 5:30 for chatty chat, and then meeting starts at 6, because for
Okay.
those of us that live outside the city limits, if you let me get home,
You know, come back out.
I live in the city and I feel like
yeah, so 5:30 is like, oh, I'll stay a little late and I'll be there at 5:30, because if I have a chance to go home, because it doesn't start till 6.
Where?
It's got an acoustic stench in place.
For the gym.
I think probably, I would prefer probably the courthouse.
Well, it would be better.
There's
It's
a
also-
little line
More
up there.
control,
But also, it's also the center of this community.
yeah.
It pulls people together.
And it really will, you know, emphasize the need for a sound and vibration study while we're all up there.
And it also,
True.
that is the hub of Blanco.
So we, Libby, would you be able to get with Noel?
I'm gonna text her right now.
Perfect. And if that day doesn't work, maybe a different day that week.
Yeah.
What kind, we need to think about what kind of information we want to ask people to bring with them. Like, come to this meeting if you're concerned with ABC, bring to this meeting.
Pictures, documentation, stories, you know, it'd be also have
I agree with that, but we don't want to make people think if they don't have something to bring, that they
no,
should.
if you have,
we
we
want
say,
the
if
neighborhood
you have
to-
this to share, we would love to,
Yeah.
you know, be able to help you, maybe have a scanner there or something, just be able to take pictures of it or something if they've got it. But they're not let it go. And I don't even want to.
So for the town hall, we'll probably need somebody at the front greeting people and taking their pictures if they have them, like the copies, and just providing a little information. Like, I think that we should have, because some people might show up without photos,
Yeah, absolutely.
and then just have like a piece of paper that says, here, email this,
Yes.
all your information, like,
Yeah.
it's okay that you didn't bring it tonight.
Yeah.
We would still love it if you could bring it.
Before I lose this thought, I'm big into genealogy, and I am on Ancestry.com, and it is amazing. What I have found out about my family history, that's already online, that these people don't even know that their family history is online. It talks about their homesteads, it talks about how they built their house, it talks about their professions, everything. So we really, I don't know if anybody's a genealogy expert around here, or we could have a little thing to encourage people to look back to your family history that they don't know about.
We could sure put it on Facebook and ask if people would want to step forward and help do that.
The genealogy part. Noel says yes.
There's so much information online already. If people know to find it.
Yeah,
It's in books.
Yeah.
It's in periodicals, it's everywhere.
you mentioned the scanner. Do we need to have some scanners out there with thumb drives that you could scan right there?
It would be helpful. I don't know, does the chamber have anything like that?
We have
That's, I think, priceless.
both of our computers are scanned. So all we need to do is just have hard drives there. If they bring it, we can scan it right there and put it directly to the hard drive.
I think that would be great.
I know my printer is a scanner. I think the other one is too. Just leave.
I have one that's like
That's
fast,
That's good. That's just good.
Would
like,
you
because
be,
those flatbeds are slow. I wouldn't mind bringing it.
that would be
It's
great.
real easy.
one of those documents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now it wouldn't pick up, it picks up color. It picks up color, but the only thing is that if you put a stack of stuff in there, that's all gonna be in the same file. So it's not, it doesn't create different files, that's all.
Can you attach a hard drive to it, or does it have to be?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
We really need a Blanco County map. A big map.
We had a big
Yes.
traffic.
Because people can pinpoint.
Kind of like
that.
the text on
What you did, Brenda, was wonderful as far as your GPS. See, he actually went to the GPS and did live on this place. But even if we didn't have that, if we had a general idea of where there's a pinpoint and this is what's there, you know. Well, I don't know. I mean, there's gotta be one somewhere that we can blow up to use.
We have an old GBTC map. We might have started
Figure
that.
out how to do it. I'm sure we can.
And maybe even be on their site, I don't know.
I think they have tons of maps back there.
We do have some maps, but I don't know.
It's a matter of how big they are.
They're mostly city maps, which helps.
Well, with Mr. Baker gone, I think, I don't know who's close enough to print a big map like that. We used to have to go to the place in Marble Falls and like sit closer.
I might be able to help them with our engineering, depending on what kind of format, but they can share, plays or large ones.
That would be helpful.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what that is, you know, these, what do you think?
Well, just say, well, people can kind of see at least, you know.
I'd say I always request for like 36, so maybe like 46 by at least.
Yeah,
Or maybe you could do
46 by-
one's north, one's south, and just connect them.
Yeah,
So you do
yeah.
a big one and a big one from the other, make a real big one.
Because what hasn't been touched yet is the other side of Blanco. We're just,
probably.
yeah, we're just getting this.
I got
You know, we really
to
haven't, I'd like to have these yours to be able to sit there.
I don't think have to be half.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think, I think they can do it.
And I know McCall Creek, down, you know, I mean, down that way, there's a lot of historical areas out there. There's tons, cemeteries, the school down there was tons of stuff. There's Stagecoach Run, there's Stagecoach Stop at Franklin Ranch.
Yeah.
There's all that stuff.
Oh,
So there's a lot we haven't touched there yet.
Yeah.
One thing, a lot of that's just, you know, retraining those people to realize, hey, we use this.
Because even at the tech stop meeting, nobody, I looked down there and there was nobody there representing that area that pinpointed the things. It's like, there's a school down here, there's a cemetery here, you know, all that sort of stuff.
If we're gonna do a town hall, we need to have an agenda where the
Yes,
presentation, not just what we talked about today, is that they're gonna do 5 studies. We need to say, this is the historical issues that we're facing, this is what we need from the community. The environmental issues and all the economic issues and whatever. What do you hope you like your economic development of this county to look like? We need to
I
ask people for information and ask them for participation.
agree.
If it's just another, well, this is what DOT's told us, and people are gonna walk ahead and say, I still don't understand. I still don't know, move on to be engaged.
Well, and I will say, at the end of the one that the chamber did, we specifically chose not to let people ask questions because we didn't necessarily have the answers, but people were really mad that they didn't get to ask questions. And so, I mean, maybe even letting people ask questions, even if the answer is, I don't know, we're working on it. But I think letting people feel like they at least got to ask.
And the answer may be, we don't know yet, but we got a group over here that's trying to find out. If it would
So you sit with them and
Yeah,
support
Participate,
them.
participate.
There's that too.
Here's our list of people in these areas, which is your most concerning, all of it, that you can be able to
And
reach out
that's
to.
what, you never know when those questions are gonna be the key to finding
Absolutely,
the solution.
absolutely.
We should always, yeah.
And if we're gonna mark out red zones, as I talked about
We
earlier,
have to have people
we need to
participation.
have to tell us what they think the red zones are, and then ultimately, we're gonna have to have the mechanism to decide. We can't just, everybody that has their own little red zone. My house is a red zone. If they come in with 5 routes, people in this room can't make the decision on which route's the right route without a lot of decision steps, process.
Correct.
You know, it's interesting, they'll find that we didn't get a whole ton of people sending those maps back to us, but we did. And the majority of them all went the same way. Because everybody was fighting over it, well, don't do this, don't do that. It's like, okay, well, then you show us what you think it's not as easy as you think, and
No, it's
why
not
they
easy.
all came in on exactly the same. So, which is a good thing, as long as we're all, you know, there's some consensus.
Right.
Nobody in the community can say that they didn't have a purpose.
So for the town hall, we will work on getting that promoted. Hopefully we can put it on chamber flags
Absolutely.
and we'll get it, flyers. It's like a little flyer created and
Newspaper.
newspaper.
Yes.
Definitely a newspaper. We can get it on the city website.
You wanna
All the
talk about
social
this
media.
afternoon, agenda? So we can kind of-
Absolutely.
And then we
Yes,
can change
we'll
that
work together.
to
What did you say, April?
13th.
April 13th, which is a Thursday.
5:30, the meeting starts at 6 and lasts an hour, more than an hour, right? Is that what you're gonna focus on?
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be.
And there might be questions afterwards, but we will, you know, the big presentation part will only be short and sweet.
So the only thing we need to really procure there then is maps and thumb drives.
Yes. And the scanners.
So I want to also kind of an update to this, I mean, we don't want to hold on it, but at least a recap it to this point.
Yes.
Right?
And I can provide that at the beginning of the 6 o'clock. I'll start with that, just kind of a
Yeah.
brief update.
Do we want to do it as a PowerPoint?
I can.
That's all we promise.
Yeah.
I just mean at least in terms of the people,
It's a focus point.
Yeah.
well, I think the people that haven't been involved, that hopefully the ways that we're outreaching that get people involved that have not seen any of this stuff, you show a map and say, here's what we're looking at between here and here's the primary focus, here's what they're doing, here's where we're at. Here's why your information is valuable.
Can we put some of the contact, like my email on there, like Ken's email, so that way, if they want to say, oh, we want to be involved in that, how do we get a hold of these people, get their names, or how do you know, instead of us writing emails down.
Yeah, so the sheet that I
Yeah.
gave out earlier,
Just make sure that that's for them as well.
Yeah, we can have,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that would be helpful, I think.
and I believe it's our website page for this task force, but I've got to make sure that it's the updated
Right,
one.
right, but I was gonna say, if they have
But yeah,
something
if
to
we
take.
will print some of those out
Yeah.
to have, kind of like we did for the Eclipse, where we had the contact information right there. So people are involved.
And I think sign-in book for their name, the people who came and their emails that they would like to share.
Yeah,
I think that would be awesome. Where, and phone number, so you can get a hold of them. And maybe a little comment. Would you like to volunteer and help us or whatever?
that's a great idea. We can have a sign-in sheet and we will make sure, you know, please put your name at least, and the email and phone are optional,
Exactly.
but it would be very helpful.
And check this box if you would like to sign it.
We've got an email list from our first meeting that I think if we use that and then we have people that come in, sign up for this, and we just keep building that email list, I think it'll make it way faster to transmit the information to people that are attentive enough to want to show.
That's a great idea.
It's a list already in constant contact.
Yeah. So like that email us for that first meeting, is that like captured where they can get a quick flyer or invite?
Yeah, it's in constant contact. All I have to do is create the email. and
Just bring it, send that to them. So
Yeah,
they see that as
yeah.
well. That the information they signed up for.
Yeah, we had a good turnout. We had
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah. So I don't want to keep anybody.
This is this book that's coming out, you can buy on Amazon about the trees, the marker trees.
It's coming out.
It's April 1st. It's coming out. Yes, ma'am.
I'm excited about that.
And, it's very interesting. And like I said, he's very open to trying to get some tribes down to actually help identify areas. It's called Guide to Finding Indian Marker Trees by Brian Smith. It's out now, but they're actually not doing the book release until April 1st.
Okay. Great. So, I will be sending out an email with notes from this meeting, and then I'll probably send out a couple more between now and the April 13th meeting. Ken, would it be okay if we share all of your notes for the meeting on Friday? So I'll also attach that, to the email. And I think that's pretty much it for today. I appreciate everybody coming out and all the hard work everybody's been doing. So at 12:09, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Sam.
We're done.
I didn't know.